The hills are alive.
This is definitely the best test podcast.
With the sound of music.
We couldn't have done better.
That ain't bad, bro. You got a little singing voice on
The
you.
bro can get down deep.
All right.
Are
You
one of
see a record button? You see a record REC red?
Check.
Scott? I see mine.
It says REC, yep.
All right, we're on here.
Check.
We are
All right.
recording.
Are we
are
ready to
live.
rock
Can
and roll?
everybody hear themselves loud enough? I can turn the sound up.
You can move this thing around too.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you need to. If you need
Yours
to lean
is
back,
a little excitable.
Excitable.
It can get erect. So
Whoa!
Wow.
That word's not allowed on this podcast.
No, we are
What?
not allowed to use
Here-
I try to make sure to insert it in, and go ahead and tilt it, Scott. Go ahead and tilt it so you want to put your face like right in the front.
like that.
Yeah.
Were you going to say that you try to insert that word like wherever possible? Is that what
Especially during workouts. Yeah. Okay. So Scott, this you just push it. You
I
just
think you're going to get a lawsuit.
I don't even know. What
You're
You
going to
just-
get a lawsuit.
it spins like this.
There we
Yeah.
go.
So if you want to lean back and then angle it a little towards me, top towards me, and then
Just get all up
exactly.
in it like that.
Yeah.
Hello.
Ooh,
This
I'm a
looks
little
funny on
warm
Take
here.
the muffly thing off mine.
This looks funny on camera.
For some reason, I think it looks cooler without the muffly thing, so I'm trying it without the muffly thing.
We're gonna compare.
We'll see.
Take
You get a
notes.
spit check.
Whatever you prefer. I definitely it's snuggly. I like to
Snuggly.
hold it, kind of
Caress
Just
it a little bit.
get in there.
Give
I
it a
can
little
kind of
hug,
like,
little
and
squeeze.
what you get talking and it gets warm, and then you just.
With that being said,
All right.
let's go ahead and fire this thing up. So this is podcast number, we're going to call it number 2.
Numero uno.
Even though, truthfully, it's
Dojo.
number 1. We're going to call it number 2, I think, because we got to go back and do the for real number 1 of like, what are we even here for? Why are we even talking about this? But we're going to get to that one later.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
I'm not real sure why we're here.
Well, everybody's about to find out.
Who? Everybody. Everybody about to find out.
So we're gonna have to remind Scott that there's no fun on this podcast.
Yo.
Don't have any fun.
Yo, Creed Nation, you better find out what's going on. We fitting to get busy up in the house.
Finna get hizzy.
Up in the Creed hood.
Welcome, Scott, as our very first ever guest on the Creed podcast. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Creed podcast.
Nailed it.
Sorry. I said
On
the
Creed podcast.
I called it the Creed podcast. We're back and forth on is it Creed podcast or is it the Creed podcast?
I think-
What's your take on that?
I think it should be Creed
Just straight
podcast.
up
Yeah, it's
Creed
cool. Yeah, Creed
podcast.
podcast.
I don't think that's an opinion. I think that's fact.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you're right.
Let's
Yeah.
check with the studio audience.
They're in agreement.
Yes.
They all
We're
love it.
good. So I have to tell this story about how I first met you. Okay?
Uh-oh.
Just the very beginning of you coming into Creed. And so Scott originally came in, joined, you didn't technically join 101. You brought your son JT in.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, strapping young man. Creed member also. And I'll never forget it. We would sit here. So we had our 101 sessions in this very room at this very table. We'd be doing our thing. I'd be up there at the whiteboard presenting. And Scott he would be sitting there like this.
Mean mugging.
Kind of looking at me like, I don't know about this guy.
It's my gangster face.
I kind of like him. He's kind of cool, but I don't know. And so every session was like that. So I didn't really know how to take Scott. And so then we would go down and we would work out, and he would occasionally jump in. Sometimes you would just watch, but then sometimes you would jump in. And then we'd talk afterwards, and then sometimes he'd liven up and be his normal self and kind of, right? And later, I want you to kind of explain that, kind of like you've done for me before,
Mm-hmm.
kind of explain where you were at mentally. But so over time, Scott has really took the Creed plunge
Drank the Kool-Aid.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
Drank
the Smart Energy.
Yeah, the Smart Energy.
drank the protein. All this right here. Drink the Smart Energy.
Took the pills.
Wait, hang on a second. Drink the Smart Energy and drink it now. Okay.
Your voiceover career is starting here.
That was good.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
I got some hidden talents that I want to explore. Anyway, so you joined, you're in, drank the Kool-Aid, drank all the stuff, and so kind of to my surprise, I guess, really kind of become a good friend of mine. I would consider you, and a mentor.
So it's kind of a backhanded compliment to his surprise.
Yeah.
To his surprise.
This guy that came in.
Just going on our initial kind of reactions, I didn't know how to take you, and so but over time I was just kind of patient with you, let you be yourself, and then we got to know each other, and everything is history.
Number one, I didn't know I was doing that. But I think I was trying to be non-engaging and allow my son to engage rather than me to engage, because fact be known, my personality can be rather large at times.
I don't believe you.
No, I know you don't believe it, but my kids definitely believe it.
Questionable.
So for me to let my 15-year-old have his day, I needed to tone it down. So this was JT's gig. Creed 101 was something that he discovered. I can't recall where we discovered it, but he initiated and said, "Hey, can we do this?" And I said, "Absolutely." So at the time, I was working out at another facility. We're not allowed to use other names, are we? Can't promote on this.
Hey, it's whatever you want to do, bro. It's on you.
I was rehabbing my shoulders from jacking them up, doing exercise, because intensity is not anything that I know anything about. So I've been a little extreme, which is kind of the joke around my house. His dad can be a bit extreme, so I was trying to not be extreme. So that was the demeanor, evidently, that was coming off back there in the Creed 101. Plus, I had also been a tightwad and told Clint I wasn't going to pay him until after we got done through the whole Creed 101 session, and then I felt guilty, so because I jumped in on some workouts.
Right. You felt like you were freeloading.
Yeah, I felt like for $99. I mean, what could I want? Wasn't it $99?
Maybe
Something like that. What's Creed 101?
Well, now it's $199, but I think
Maybe it was $199.
No, I think we did like 50% off or something like that. Yeah.
For obnoxious guys who sit in the back and don't.
As long as you don't join afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
For obnoxious guys.
Then you got to pay. Then you got to pay double.
Yeah.
If you join.
So Scott, tell us just a little bit about you, man. Just tell us kind of a little bit about your story. Go into as much depth or shallowness as you want. It's up to you.
I do shallow really well. Let me see. What do you want to know? How I got to Athens? How I got to Creed?
Kind of where'd you grow up?
Yeah, grew up in Atlanta. Grew up right in the city, right by Lenox Square. Kind of a neighborhood. Couple of guys in it that I hung with a lot. We loved to run and go crazy and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And those friends, as we grew up, stayed friends. And my closest friend is a guy who we got into exercise kind of together and really started pursuing that as adults. We did some as teenagers as well, just from athletics and sports. And then came to University of Georgia. He went to Auburn, which I don't forgive him for. But he went down there. I went to Georgia. He went in the Navy. We kind of parted ways. He ended up out on the West Coast. So for years, we were, both running around the country doing our deal. Then I kind of looked up one day after being an athlete at the University of Georgia and had been really fit and got married, got out on the road, working a career and traveling and selling on the road. And with that came going through drive-thrus and meeting 3 vegetable places and just not eating well, not exercising. And all of a sudden you look up and you're 40 pounds overweight and you say, I got to do something. a lot of my customers are older than me. They're, and especially at that time, many of them were old enough to be, my dad's age. And I started noticing prostate cancer, heart attacks, strokes, stuff hitting these guys. And the thought occurred to me, I'll say the Lord said to me, that's going to happen to you. That's, take a good look at that, because it's about 20 years down the road. And if you don't do something different, you're going to be in the same place. And the way that happened, it wasn't like I heard God say, you have to start exercising now. You have to start now.
That's your God voice.
Yep. But the thought was, I was driving down the road, and the thought went through my brain, the little foxes destroy the vineyard. And I thought to myself, that's a totally bizarre thought. I don't think those kind of bizarre thoughts. And I said, that's got to be a proverb. That's got to be somewhere in scriptures where that came from, where that thought came from. Went and found that, and indeed it was in scripture, and I believe it is a proverb. I can't quote it right off the top of my head, but it applied to those little decisions that you make all day long. And one of them was whipping through the 99-cent menu at Wendy's, or, hitting the meat and three in a small town, because I'm in all kinds of small towns, and that 32-ounce sweet tea that you can stand your spoon up in is, that's one of those things that is a southern town, buddy. Fried chicken. And anyway, that is what kind of led me to 40 pounds overweight. And to make it make a quick story longer, picked up a book at Walmart of all places called The Body for Life, written by Bill Phillips. And it was the first time I had read something that approached a whole lifestyle versus go get in the gym. I had been a gym rat. I had worked out plenty. I knew all the isolated workout moves from my being in athletics at the University of Georgia. And so I knew how to work out, but I needed to get back and do something more than just that. And what hit me square between the eyes was in the book where he says that he drove a really, really nice sports car, and arguments could be had. It was the best engineered vehicle in the world for performance. But if he put garbage in it as fuel, then it couldn't perform to its optimal level. And, that was the part that kind of hit me, because I'd always said, well, I'm working out, I can eat whatever I want. And as you age, that doesn't continue to work out so great. And you're definitely not going to work out at optimal levels. So the body's designed to function at optimal levels, and that made a lot of sense to me. So anyway, that whole book was a 12-week challenge, and it was a workout with resistance and cardio and eating well, and just starting somewhere, starting to move is basically what it was about.
And how old were you at that point?
Got to go backwards. I was probably, let's see, JT's 15, and I've got a picture where I'm holding him as a toddler. So he was, let's call it 15 years ago. Maybe I started right before he was born. And that was kind of the beginning. And then from there, worked out probably 2 years like that, which was more resistance style, upper body, lower body, weight lifting until my joints started, kind of hurting, shoulders hurting, elbows hurting from doing isolated movements. And CrossFit was coming on the scene at the time. This was new fad that was the military was using, and my buddy was in the military, and he came back from Quantico, or maybe he was out in Coronado in California, and came back and said, hey, let's try this. And of course,
same Navy buddy.
Yep. Yeah. And we were horrible at it. We were watching videos.
His name one more time.
His name is.
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. SEAL.
He went through SEAL training. Yep, all the way through that, and then ended up doing a career, or doing 8 years, I think, there. And then got out, was an engineer, and ended up moving to the Athens area. So, now he's up here as well.
I thought he moved away.
He did for a while, and then he came back.
He's back.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Sweet.
So he's one of those professions that I don't know that I need to go on the radio and say what, or on whatever this podcast, and say what his profession is. Right. So I'm going to leave that out. But he does move and then comes back. So at various times.
All right. So let's fill in some gaps in the story. You said an athlete at Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Which sport?
I was a cheerleader.
And
then I had surgery and became a man.
And so,
Oh man.
You should have seen me in a skirt.
What are I know you get jokes about
Of
it,
course.
right? What
Yeah.
are like the most popular jokes you get about that?
Oh, just everything, just everything. Can you do a herky? Can you show me a jump? There's all kinds of stuff like
But
that.
can you?
Yes.
Do you still have? But
Don't get still.
men don't have pom poms.
No, we did not have pom poms.
Right.
You have a mega horn.
Gotcha.
You have the bullhorn.
Yes, which is perfect for you.
And then you stunt. That's all they let you do. So you don't do many moves. There's no dance routines.
That's good.
And you hold the
Hold
girls
people up in the air.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I don't know. You probably didn't catch this, but when I asked you that question and giggled, I looked at Benjamin, and he was dead set on not smiling and giggling at that.
And he did anyway. That's it.
I had to think about
Only
it.
because I kind of pulled him into it.
This podcast is over.
We
I'm leaving.
had to go there like first 10 minutes, just kind of pull that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the number one thing people say is, "Did you cheer in high school?" And I was like, "No."
Right. You're
Yeah.
like, you
No.
say it like, of course not.
Of course
it's not.
not.
Cool at high
Yeah, I
school,
got
but-
recruited.
But it is cool
Yeah.
at college.
Scholarship, recruited.
Yep. So,
How did you get into it?
well, it has nothing to do with scholarships and recruiting. It has to do with I was a college male, and there were some attractive ladies who wanted me to try out. So, truth be known.
Yes, ma'am, I will be there.
yep.
3
And
o'clock.
And you had a little bit of the thing, you had a few of the things that it took. Like you're a pretty strong, explosive guy. So, and you got to do that to be a.
I had been a
cheerleader for sure.
springboard diver in high school, so I knew some of the acrobatics, at least how to tumble and how to move your body. So I didn't know how to tumble on the ground, but that was taught to me. So, and at that time, the guys did acrobatic things. Now they don't. Now they just stunt. But at that time you did. So, being able to have balance and being able to, hold handstands and a lot of the moves that full fitness are about. We do handstand holds here. We do balance one-handed handstands if you can get there. One-legged squats. A lot of this is body movement and body control that that lend itself to already.
I mean, gymnasts are some of the strongest athletes
Absolutely.
out there.
Absolutely.
Bar none.
Yep. Karen is
A beast.
Karen's a beast.
Ooh.
So I want a shirt that says "Train like Karen."
We can work on that.
I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Karen on this podcast.
Yeah.
Be an all-American. Train like Karen.
Karen, one of our elite level members, Rooster Club members.
Yep.
Ex UGA gymnast, all American. I always forget this, but she's either one of the only or the only like collegiate gymnast to score all perfect 10s in one meet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Legit.
I was not that elite level of a cheerleader. I was a meathead who liked to work out. That was kind of it.
And so we may or may not have time to talk career stuff today. We talk a lot of fitness stuff, but we talk some career stuff too. And so you talked about your clients. So tell us a little bit about what business you're in.
So when I'm in sales, I run a sales team. I'm a manufacturer's rep in the furniture business. So I represent the manufacturer product for Ashley Furniture, and I call on retail stores. So technically B2B sales, sell for the manufacturer to the retailer, and then the retailer sells to the consumer. And I travel a territory, the state of Georgia, and have a team of guys who travel, and we sell to those stores.
Got it. And you've been doing that for how long?
Since I got out of school, so 20, whatever years that is, 25 years.
Wow.
So
Here's a question I was thinking about with you. I was thinking, I guess in general, I'm curious a lot about what keeps people in a job that they're in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the answer to that for you? What has kept you doing what you do for so long?
I think that I work with people. I just enjoy, people, and I do something different every day. And I'm doing 40,000 miles a year roughly, so I'm in the car moving. But, I'm going from place to place, and every business is different. So though they're doing a common thing, selling furniture, their business is different, their people are different. Often they're new people you're training and learning how they tick and how you can motivate them, and not everybody's motivated the same.
But let's go a little deeper, because there's a lot of jobs you can be around people. So what has kept you at, with Ashley, associated with Ashley? Are you technically an Ashley employee, or how does all that work?
No, I'm a contractor.
Okay.
So I'm an annual contractor. So I got a 1-year gig every year that,
Kind of like a teacher almost.
They decide whether they're going to renew it at the end of the year. So, probably the thrill of the sale, a lot of growing business is something that's exciting to me, but it wouldn't be exciting to me if it weren't people involved in it.
Right.
I think the people are the payoff. So it's neat to watch people get it and provide a livelihood for themselves because they understand something and they can go perform at a level that pays their bills and pays their income. So
you had mentioned that you were noticing your clients starting to feel like you were seeing yourself in their shoes kind of 20 years down the road. Are these furniture store owners?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Upper management or owners of those stores.
And how many do you work with or see regularly?
Well, we have 200 active accounts, but some of those have multiple locations. So probably storefronts, and what we're responsible for as a team is probably about 700 storefronts.
Dang.
So yeah. So and I got 5 people who work with me doing that. So
that's a lot.
Yep.
And they work for you, with
mm-hmm.
you?
They work with my sales organization. So my company is contracted with Ashley, and then so Ashley employs me, and I employ all of them.
Are these younger guys, similar age?
No, all over.
Okay.
There's a couple of guys my age, guy about 10 years younger, another guy about 20 years younger, a lady who runs a lot of our internal stuff. She actually lives in Salt Lake City. So she's roughly, if she's listening, she's far younger than we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good touch.
But I think she graduated from high school right about the same time I did.
Yeah, good. I like that.
All right, so you said when we began this podcast, I can't remember whether we were recording yet, but you said that you're willing to go a little deeper.
You mean you're recording this?
Yes, we're recording.
This
it.
is not a
Come
long
on.
sound check.
So here's what I want you to talk about a little bit. Talk a little bit about kind of where you were at when you started Creed, sort of emotionally, and just the struggle that you were having. Go into that a little bit, and then talk about that journey a little bit. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
I want the audience to hear that.
Well, when I came to Creed, and I think that in my age, I'm 48, so I was probably 46, and had some what I would call impact points. Some things change business-wise. Some key people who were in my organization change professions, and just a number of other stressors from being in positions in leadership, on board of directors and running my company, and just the kind of complexity of that. And over time, that stress, I think compounded. I say it pancaked, and it just kind of was crushing. I had never dealt with anxiety or anything. I'd always been a kind of happy-go-lucky, positive guy. But, life, whether it was my age, whether it was middle age, whatever you call that, had kind of come to a bit of a anxious point. So I kind of laid off of a lot of things because, as I stated, I could be pretty intense. And I think I was intensely going after all kinds of stuff. And it just finally caught up with me. So whether one of my friends said you were burning really, really hot, a hot flame burning, sooner or later, it's gonna burn out or cool off. And I kind of hit a point where I was just struggling. So struggling emotionally, struggling with stress, struggling with dealing with all the various responsibilities that I had. So. exercise has always been a thing that, first of all, it's a discipline. It's regular. You do it day in, day out, like clockwork. You commit to it, and it's order. It's part of the order of our day, just like breathing. Just like waking up and going to sleep. It's just part of the order, and that keeps things at least in a system that is controllable. So what my physician actually prescribed to me is, he said, I'm going to give you a prescription, and it's called get back into exercise. Stop laying out and start doing it. So that was kind of how I showed up over here. I had injured myself, so that probably was part of it too. Both my shoulders were jacked up, and I'd spent a year rehabbing those. And, to an extent, when you're an athlete and you get injured and you can't go at the levels you're used to going at, I think that has a compounding effect as far as making you frustrated and maybe anxious or maybe depressed or whatever you call that. So that was kind of the condition that I was when I got here. And,
like I've already mentioned, you've been really successful here with us at Creed. And so what do you've been members of different gyms, you've done this, you've done that, you've done one-on-one personal training, you've done CrossFit, you've done a lot of different things. What do you feel like it is about Creed that's kind of helped you be successful in this season?
I think what I say to people in the community who say, why do you go to Creed? Creed's more expensive. And I say, more expensive as to what? Everything has a cost, and more expensive as to what? What are you comparing it to? And what I see at Creed is, first of all, a positive environment, not a negative environment. A competitive environment, but a competitive environment that also has integrity. My kids go to Westminster Christian Academy, and we use a adage, intensity with integrity. And what I had seen at other gyms was they turned a direction of sometimes competitiveness lacked integrity, and sometimes the competitiveness or just the environment in the gym felt very, I don't know, like a lack of term, but it was just, people peeling clothes off, and, just a very, just kind of yuck feel inside the gym. And then my own, issue with intensity when somebody's not coaching you well. So somebody coaching form, and Clint and I have had multiple conversations about this. As you get tired, your form may be great when you start the first round, but you get into round 4 of AMRAP, whatever it is. Today we were power cleaning. And if you start fatiguing and you're not holding your form right, and you're not holding your core, you're not tightening your core, all of a sudden your spine's loose. And there was nobody in those other places that was really coaching that. You had one coach and maybe 20 people working out. And what I've appreciated about Creed is usually there's multiple people in there. So you guys have scaled that to be available, and also to really intentionally coach that, not just stand there and watch. Or sometimes, people would be in other gyms, a coach would be sitting there working out and technically running the class. Well, it's difficult to do both of those. So you can't see yourself. Even if you got a mirror in front of you, you still can't see what you're doing. So having coaching is a huge, huge thing in life. I'm a big proponent of coaching in all kinds of different ways. But we don't see ourselves run the plays, if you will. We can't see that. You may be the best athlete in the world, but there's some, fat guy standing on the sideline who can't do it like you can, but, he's coaching you because you can't see yourself. He can't go out there and run the ball like you, or hit the ball like you, or lift the weight like you, but he can tell you, hey, your form's not good here, and you're going to injure yourself in the long run.
That's good. So many things I could say to that. I'm just trying to choose what to even respond with. I think what I wanted to say was, so we recently went down to West Palm Beach.
Yes, I was hoping you would bring this up. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
We went down there for the Tony Robbins conference, and we had some free time, and so we said, hey, let's go bounce around. Let's go see some different gyms, and our thought pattern was, hey, let's go see, what some of these other people are doing, and let's, get some ideas on how we can continue to improve and do things better here at Creed. And the first one we go to, we didn't even get out of the car, bro. We didn't even get out of the car.
We did roll the window down.
It was just, we pull up and you see the stereotypical, CrossFit coach. And hey, I'm not bashing CrossFit. We're probably gonna talk a lot about. Hey, we're gonna talk a lot about CrossFit on this podcast. Okay, the good, the bad, the ugly. Here's one of the ugly examples. And so, not all CrossFit coaches are bad, and some of them are excellent. And I've got a great friend who's a CrossFit coach who has an excellent gym. Shout out to Dorian Shockey. Sound test. We're still learning these mics.
Yeah.
Seeing how loud I can
learning you some sound.
Anyway, D-Shock in Atlanta, CrossFit Resurgence. Excellent gym. If you're in Atlanta, go check him out. But, we pull up and the guy's, walking around. He's leaning. He puts his foot up on the tire. He's leaning over, and all his body language basically is communicating. There's anywhere in the world I'd rather be than right here, watching these people work out, which is basically what he was doing. There was no coaching involved. And then he whips out the cell phone, and then he's walking around, and he's so low energy, and he's yawning, and it's just like, and I told Benjamin, I was like, sadly, this is what you see,
Yep.
Typically, like, this is kind of the norm, unfortunately. And so it took us a few gyms. We had to go to a few of them until we were like, okay, finally we found one where this one we might be able to actually learn something from, And I'm just like, dang. Oh, we want to change that, man. We want to inspire people to give a good service. And like, man, people are coming in, they're paying you $100, $150, $200 a month, whatever you're charging. They deserve your best,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It was pretty rough.
Well, and I think that it comes down to numbers, being a business guy. If the business model doesn't work, once that owner who can be the best he can possibly be, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and he can only run so many classes. So what ends up happening is, because the revenue isn't there, because they're popping gyms, all around the guy, all of a sudden it's a race to the bottom. He's trying to find somebody to just take a class, and all of a sudden you got, a young kid who's been through, a couple of levels of certification, but he's by no means a coach. Coaching a 25-year-old athlete versus a 50-year-old athlete is two different things. And depending on what that person's fitness level is, that's where people hurt themselves. And I'm not going to say CrossFit hurt them, but CrossFit didn't hurt me. I hurt myself. But I was taking the modality and thinking more is better, which was not true. But I think a lot of us do that, and I make fun of me. More Roundup, more weed spray that's going to kill more weeds, more WD-40 should fix this, more duct tape, can I get a witness? Anybody, any men out there understand me? And more intensity, more weight, more plates, because I'm getting stronger, because I'm trying to keep up with the guy to my left who's 20 years younger than me. All of a sudden I'm throwing weight above my head now that I'm fatigued, without my core tight, without proper coaching, without somebody saying, hey, knucklehead, peel some of those weights off. Your form stinks. And guess what happens? That's a recipe for me injuring myself. Did CrossFit injure me? No, I injured myself. But the point was, I wasn't having somebody say, hey, and, I will say here from Creed, so talking about the positives of Creed, I'm coached. And even though I think I know what I'm doing, often I have a coach walk up to me and say, hey, your form's not good, or hey, you're rounding your back when you're pulling that deadlift off the floor, or when you're pulling that power clean off the floor because you're trying to give extra power and your spine's not correct. And, that's going to end up being an injury. It's just natural to begin straightening your legs and not use your legs. You get tired. And as guys, we use our upper body, which again, I looked around and noticed a lot of guys right around my age getting shoulder injuries, back injuries. And, that just exercise should not injure you. You maybe get sore, but trashing a joint, you got to think about what you're doing. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's a fine line. It's a balance you have to walk across form and intensity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a balance, because like what you said, you're crushing the workout. You're going at it with intensity, and then you begin to fatigue, and so naturally the intensity's there, but now the form is slacking, and so now you've got to back off a little bit, which diminishes your intensity, lowers your intensity, but now you're bringing your form back into check. And so across even one workout, there's this flow, there's this back and forth of intensity and form that you have to navigate, and it's hard to do if, like you're saying, nobody's there with you kind of watching,
mm-hmm.
And coaching.
One thing when I'm coaching, to kind of piggyback off that, one thing that I focus on when I'm coaching is I watch kind of the groups. I watch individuals form, but I also watch the groups form. And if I see that the group is really starting to fatigue and starting to, drop form, I'll say, all right, guys, focus on form to the whole group. Make sure you're focusing on form here. And then as they start to focus on their form, their muscle memory is kind of, picking up where their fatigue was dropping off. Then I'll start to say, all right, everyone, start to push your pace. Form's looking good, push your pace. And it's kind of, like you said, that ebb and flow, back and forth. You got to focus on, you do want to have your pace up, but not before your form. Form first, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And so, all right, so you mentioned earlier, Scott, that you're, a big proponent of coaching, and you got coaching in other areas of your life too. Tell us, I know you've got a business kind of
mm-hmm. A business coach.
Tell us a little bit about that. And I guess what I really want to hear is, how do you feel like having your coach there for you business-wise, career-wise, how has that, pushed you further, faster?
Well, I think that, again, I'm not a rock star, brilliant guy, but you sit there and you think about, professional golfers have a swing coach. Pitchers have a specific coach that's a pitching coach. Baseball has a swing coach, specific aspects of what you do, that you may do it every day. And, you may be the best at it, but the question is, can you improve it? And managing, and I'll call it keeping all the balls in the air, keeping all the plates spinning. I have a wife and 4 kids, and we're active in our church, and I wanted to have more of a life than just business life, So I ended up, through some counseling, having the advice of the counselor say, you got a lot going on in your life. You need a business coach. I didn't even know I knew what the words meant, but I had never met one, never, knew what a business coach was. I was aware of motivational speaking, such as John Maxwell and those kind of guys, but didn't know what that looked like. So started looking for a business coach, interviewing some different people, and through my accountant, I found the business coach that I'm working with now is a guy named Kevin McDaniel with Wind River Strategies, and having a baseline of how you think and how you show up, how you do what you do, what makes you good at something. Often people are good at something, but if you ask them to kind of lay out why they're good at it, they have no clue. They're just good at it. Intuitively, they have gotten good at what they do, but they may be a sorry teacher of how to go do that or replicate that. So having a business coach, first thing was lay down some principles of understanding of it's a process, and you're successful from a process. And Part of it is who you are. So using some kind of a platform such as Strength Finders, or we use a tool called Emergenetics, which designs behavioral attributes as well as thinking attributes. And many of these do Myers-Briggs, and there's all these psychological tests out there that.
Me and Benjamin are all about the DISC.
Yeah, DISC is another one, but they're just putting words and defining who you are. Everybody is made in the image of God, so you're very complex, and we all don't show up the same. And so for me to not be the same as Clint or Benjamin doesn't make me wrong or that I'm screwed up. It just makes me me. Me beginning to understand me and why I'm the way I am is the first part of that psychological testing and getting how you're wired. You're wired how you're wired. And that's a great thing. It's nothing wrong. It's just who you are. And understanding that is then begins to understand how to motivate yourself and you. And maybe if you begin to understand you can begin to understand other people better as well. So that's where that coaching started from. And then, helping me get better at, you asked me a question, why do I do what I do? What's the payoff is what we would say in coaching. And my payoff is the people. My payoff is that I get to be with people and watch people succeed. That motivates me. I do all the other things I do. I study sales training. I study all the different stuff I study so that I can go get the payoff of delivering that to people that and watch them flourish. But if you make me just prepare, and I never get to deliver that to people, then you're going to drain me. You're going to wear me out. I'm going to be demotivated, not motivated. I'll prepare like crazy because of the payoff. But I need to understand what that payoff is for me. And then I need to design my day around, what energizes me. Probably end your day with the things that energize you, because then you end the day going, man, that was an awesome day. Move the things you hate to do, spreadsheets for me. Spreadsheets, you hear that?
Oof.
Shelly, you work in my office. Shelly, you're phenomenal. I love your spreadsheets. You do awesome spreadsheets.
Shout out to Shelly.
Yeah,
spreadsheets.
Shelly, spreadsheets are her love language, so it's a good deal. But so that is that's kind of the coaching aspect of what I do. Helps me keep staying at the level that I need to stay at.
And what's an example of something you end your day with that energizes you?
It's a great question.
What time do you come into Creed?
5:30.
Boom.
A.m.
A.M.
Rooster Club. Rooster Club.
Rooster Club. So I usually am ending my day with, for me, is getting to, getting to see all of my customers and getting a full day's work in. So I would say engaging retail sales associates, engaging a buyer, having a good final meeting of the day is something that motivates me.
For me, it's the tasking.
Oh.
I don't like people.
Well, and it is true. I've heard you say you're truly an introvert, and how people would say, "Oh, Clint's not an introvert," because you choose to be extroverted when you're in the gym.
I actually do love people, but sometimes people drain me, and so that's where if I can finish my day knocking out a couple of important tasks, I'm like, yes,
check them off.
Now I'm off.
Yeah.
Now I'm pumped up.
Yep.
Whereas, the people aspect, I do that and choose to do that because I want, I love people and I want them to be better and I want to influence them. And to do that, I have to be around them and I have to be in front of them and do that. And so, but yeah, like you said, it is draining for me because I'm the whole natural introvert situation.
Well, I think too with extrovert and introvert, it's not, for you, it's not, and everyone, it's not about what you enjoy, whether you like people or you don't like people. It's, do people energize you?
Right.
Do you go into a crowd of people or interact with someone and afterwards you're like, yes, I'm energized? Or do you leave that and go, I need a nap?
Exactly.
Or I need to do alone time or whatever.
The introverts are energized by this type of interaction, a one-on-one or a three-way or interaction. But then the extrovert is like, the more the merrier.
More the better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's energizing.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you put me on stage,
Oh,
you know,
man.
in front
Oh,
of
man.
in front of 30 people where I can be a moron.
You're off the chain.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I can do that all day long. But for my bride, that's not her gig. And, you know, that just is not, that's like she'd rather go have a root canal
My wife too.
than do that. So, and that's why if you notice me in the gym, I mean, the Creed members, I mean, I don't shut up much. I'm just running my mouth. And half of it is I'm just amusing myself in the midst of embracing the suck of the workout. So,
Yeah.
And at the same time, amusing everyone else. So it works.
I don't think I amuse everyone else. But even the people that aren't
You
amused,
do joke with Karen a lot, and I think Karen sometimes is kind of like hee, and then sometimes she's like, "Shut up, Scott."
yeah, she just reach over there and kick me because her feet can do all kinds of things that mine don't. So
From a handstand hold.
yes, from a handstand hold.
From a hands, that's the key element. That's good. All right, so you've brought this up a lot. All right, so I want to dig in a little bit more on this. You've talked about God, you've talked about the Lord, you've talked about church, and so what I want to know, or kind of what I'm curious about, is how has your faith tied in with your level of success career-wise? Talk about that a little bit. I mean, you know, is it? And I guess I'm asking this question because sometimes I feel like believers can be, you know, like uncertain as to, is it okay to be successful? I'm a Christian, and is it okay for me to make money or not? You know, like sometimes I feel like that's an issue that people struggle with. And so can you speak to that at all?
Well, I think it comes, first of all, with a proper understanding of Scripture and having a good church and somewhere that's teaching the Word, so that you understand that money, whatever it is, that's the beacon of measurement, is going to be in business how you're going to provide for others. It's how you're going to be tracked. It's how you're going to decide whether are we successful or are we not successful. In today's economy, it's $1, but you know, back in the day, it was a pig, or it was livestock, it was a crop, it was, you know, but it was still a form of a quantitative amount of revenue. It equated to something. And you hear people go, well, money is the root of all evil, and they misquote Scripture. The love of money is the root of all evil, is what that Scripture says. And so my faith is monitoring my heart. That's what I see Jesus saying over and over again in Scripture. It's not do this, don't do that. You know, it's not fundamentalism. It's where's your heart, and how do these various things affect your heart? So money can affect your heart, definitely can. Greed can definitely move in, but without getting way deep into that, walking in my business in a way that honors God, and realizing that we were created for work, and our work honors God. Whether that happened because Adam was kicked out of the garden and told that, you know, you'll sweat, you'll produce, you know, out of the sweat of your brow, you know, you'll work this ground. Whether that's where our work came from, or whether God specifically designed us to work as honoring to Him, I'm no theologian, so I can't tell you that one. But I know that our work is honoring to God, and how we work. We see Scripture tell us work excellently as unto the Lord. So I go try to do that every day. Now, this may offend some people, but one of the things that I will say is nothing freaks me out worse than a Christian businessman.
Boom. Wow.
Yeah.
But nothing thrills me more than to find an excellent businessman that happens to be a Christian. And I mean that because the guy that's coming at me with all of his Christianity out front, unfortunately, not all of them, not every guy, because I guess that could be accused of me at times, but unfortunately, that's the guy who wants special favors, extra dating, doesn't want to pay me for 90 days. You know, somehow he wants this fraternity benefit, and he puts others in harm for his success. So my faith directly affects that.
So I heard another. This was probably 9 or 10 years ago. I had a guy tell me something very similar. He said, "I'm very wary of someone who puts like a cross or something like that
like
on their business card, And I'd never heard anybody say that before, and I had him explain it to me, and basically he explained it exactly the way you just did. And so I find that really interesting. We've got a member here who was talking with me one day, and she said, all my friends, this member is not a believer, okay? And so she says, I've got some friends that make fun of me for going to Creed, for going to the Christian gym. She kind of did her fingers, what do you call these? Air quotes.
Air
there
quotes.
You go, air quotes. Benjamin keeps me right on
That's
some
good.
of these terms,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So, because there's no telling what I might call something. Anyway, and so it really got me thinking about it. So in that conversation, she was like, I tell them, and she was like, yeah, and they joke like, have they made you a Christian yet? Have they, and we're kind of laughing about it. And she says, I tell them like, y'all don't ram stuff down people's throat. Y'all aren't talking about God all day long and talking about the Bible and this, that, and the other. And so in a way, that I think about that conversation a lot. And in a way, I kind of like it that we have that reputation, because I know, and as a member, and as a coach, that we're not cramming Jesus down people's throats. So that's kind of cool that we have a reputation for that, even though we don't do that. So that's kind of cool. The part that I don't like is that I would never want somebody to feel like they're not welcome at Creed because they're not a Christian, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah. I would say that you, as a believer, as a follower of Jesus, I'm held to a higher standard because of who I answer to. That doesn't need to be stated verbally for people to know that. They notice the excellence of your work. They notice that you do things above and beyond what other people do, and then that broaches a conversation. Hey, Clint. Hey, Benjamin. Why do you do that? Well, they've asked a question at that point. They're looking for an answer. And in that, I have opportunity to be salt and light and speak to why I choose to operate at a higher level. But it's not because I'm trying to convert them. It's because of who I follow and who I answer to and who I believe I will stand accountable to. So that even comes down to the nitty-gritty of the day, how I treat the owner of the store and the buyer of the store, who are my customers. If I treat them one way, and then I walk into their warehouse, and the guy who's unboxing my product and putting it together, and he's the bottom of the employment chain, if I treat him poorly, then am I walking with integrity? Am I walking what I talking? It's not good English, but am I walking what I'm talking?
Yeah.
And we all know the colloquial, actions speak louder than words. A picture's worth 1,000 words. We know that. It's in our speech. It's in our references. As Christians, I believe that what St. Francis of Assisi quoted, he said, in all things share the gospel, and if necessary, use words.
Yeah.
It's a pretty humbling, that's
an
a pretty
awesome quote, yeah.
humbling quote. Because how often I think that I got to be running my mouth because I am a talker. I use 3 times the words of most men in a day. So people want me to shut up, not keep talking. So that's part of that. And I think, and I'll bring it down to even a Creed example. So for all you folks out there, my credit card twice has not worked on my monthly billing. So I get a little friendly text from the last time it was Joe, then this time it was Clint. This is 2 separate occasions as your credit card company sends you those little notices and says, hey, we have reason to believe your card's been corrupted, so here's a new one. and you don't bother to give it to the people that are billing it. So I get these calls. My point there is there's an opportunity for integrity. My integrity is in question because my card is not working. There's a business that needs to be paid. How I navigate in that environment. I could have an attitude that puts me first and say, I'm way too busy to deal with this. Don't you see my agenda for the day? Don't you know I'm on a business trip? Don't you know that? I mean, I could take that whole stance, but I have a witness of who I say I follow, which is Jesus. And that is a responsibility that trumps all other responsibilities, is what are my actions saying to Clint, to Joe? Now, they may give me the benefit of the doubt because they know me a little better, but how am I treating that person across the counter, wherever it is? And there's another statement that I try to live by that says, people don't remember what you say. People don't remember what you say. They remember how you make them feel. And Jesus dealt with some really sticky situations. Try the woman caught in adultery. Try that one. She left there being corrected, but she didn't leave there being belittled. And that's the difference. Though that situation was really hard, and he actually said, go ahead and kill her. Go ahead, stone her. She deserves it. Stone her. That's what the law requires, stone her. Didn't happen. But you see how he dealt with her. He told her, said, hey, don't don't do this anymore. Stop doing this. But his actions towards her were not those of looking down his nose and snubbing her like a rule follower, Pharisee, the way they treated the religious folk. So I try to never be religious. And I tell my kids it's not about religion, it's about relationship. We're followers of Jesus. And when you don't know what to do, what does love require of you? And I'm quoting Andy Stanley there for you guys who know that quote. It's not mine. It's his.
That's good. Well, Scott, I want to respect your time, man. I appreciate you coming today. Anything you want to kind of finish up with, or any sort of closing thoughts before we talk about how you can, or you or anybody listening can support the podcast?
Not unless you guys I think I've done a lot of talking.
That was a mic drop right there.
That was a pretty good mic
That was
drop,
a good thing to end
That's
on,
good,
because that's
a good ending.
dropping some knowledge.
I like it.
Well, you know what? I do want to say something.
Let's hear it.
Because the one thing we haven't talked about is the community of Creed. And I was not a member of the tribe, so I didn't have that gym experience. But what I think makes churches successful, what I think makes nutrition successful, what makes exercise successful is that life is lived in circles. We live lives in circles. At our church, we say we live in circles, not rows. So you don't live life stretched out on pews. You live life in circles around people. And what Creed has done is brought accountability, small group, if you will, cell group, whatever you want to call that. It's broken the environment down into a smaller group, not just so that you work out with smaller groups of people, but so that there's accountability there. Encouragement and accountability in all things helps you be successful. It helps encourage you. Life is not a Lone Ranger activity. We don't live it solo. And I think what Creed has done is brought that element of accountability and community together, which makes it, if at the least, a lot more fun. At the most, it's a group of people that are tracking with you in life, and you're sharing life, and they're encouraging you, and they're there for you when hard things happen. So
3-stranded cord's hard to break.
Booyah.
And it's funny just how, you talked about Tribe a little bit, and then, going to Creed. And so Tribe was our old business name, Tribe Fitness. And we rebranded right at, it was probably 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And we created this logo, that you see here with the three strands. And at the time, we didn't plan that as like, hey, this is our 3-stranded cord, accountability. But over time, it just I can't even remember how that came to me actually, but I was like, dang, that's what that is. That's this 3-strand, and just, we used to be personal training and now we're group training and having that so we used to have 2 of the strands, right? We had the member and we had the coach, right? One-on-one personal training. But what I found was that when we moved to the small group and started training in that way, I noticed that the accountability went higher and higher. And as our community has gotten stronger and tighter and people are getting to know each other and the creed teams that we're doing now, all of that has, blown accountability through the roof. And so, yeah, it's so true, man. It's such a big part of it.
Creed teams. Shout out to the Rooster Club.
Yep.
Rooster Club.
Rooster
Creed
Club.
teams.
Early club.
Early club.
So Steve's playing with a name for the 615ers. He's calling them the Fun Bunch.
The Fun Bunch.
You don't like it?
It's all right.
You weren't crazy about it.
I liked what John said today
What did he say?
when Sean came in. He goes, Sean came into the 615. What did he say?
They're the snoozers. They hit snooze.
Oh, that is a good name.
They're the snoozers. You hit snooze. See, we've had all these defectors here towards the end of the year. I've seen I'm walking out out of 5:30, and I get all my homeboys are coming in at 6:15.
Right,
I won't go to the 615.
What's up?
Why?
I don't want to see the 5:30 people and have John or someone say,
I see. You don't want to get
he said something like, it's like
Haze him.
now is better than never, or something, like at least you came in today. Some consolation comment. I'd rather come to the 4:30 or 6:15
and not see any of them.
Yeah, not have anyone be able to make a joke about me sleeping in.
Elitist.
This guy, he's not competitive at all.
Not at all.
Not even a little.
Not even a lot of it.
All right, Benjer, let's wrap this thing up. And will you talk a little bit about how the audience can support the podcast if they want to?
Absolutely, if you want to.
If you want to, that's key.
No pressure, just opportunity.
I like that.
So we've got Rise supplements. You can buy Rise supplements. You can come into Creed here on Hog Mountain Road in Watkinsville, or there you go. I like that.
Sorry, sound effects. Hog Mountain.
Or you can get these online too.
What exactly is a hog mountain?
I don't know, man.
It's
That's the craziest name.
a mountain of pigs.
Look, Creed is not situated on top of a mountain of pigs. Okay?
No.
I promise.
Although that wouldn't be a bad place. We're like not a mountain. We're not pigs.
That's what that
we're
is.
on the mountain of
Those
pigs.
are three. Those are three strands of bacon.
Oh my god.
Bacon goes good with everything.
Right. It just
Yeah.
makes everything better.
Especially workouts.
It just makes everything better.
So you can get these online. Where can we get them, Clint?
Well, currently you can buy the Elite Omega-3 product and you can buy the Smart Energy product on Amazon.
Whoa.
And
I did that.
We're working on getting the protein blend on there.
And it's Prime. It's available on Prime,
It is
too.
available on
Yeah.
Prime. So we're working on getting the protein there. So you can get those on Amazon, and it's a quick, easy.
Let's talk a
way to
little bit
support
about
the podcast.
Let's talk about what each one does.
Go for it.
So we got protein after workout, helps your recovery. We got chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, classic flavors. Everybody else's strawberry sucks, let's be honest. This strawberry is actually pretty good.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it, but you can.
No, it sucks. We got Elite Omega-3. We got soft gels. I don't go a day without taking these.
Okay, so and it's important to know too, because people who have a lot of people who have supplemented with omega-3s, in particular fish oil, complain about fish burps.
Yep.
Okay. Have you struggled with the fish burps before?
Scott's going to be our sound effects guy.
Can we hire you?
You did the pig.
Yeah, sure, I
you
can
nailed
do
the
it.
pig.
Yep,
You
yep.
got the burp.
Side job. Sound
Side
effects
hustle.
guy?
I had
Sound
the
effects.
bass line going, pentatonics going.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had it going, man.
I got it. I got it.
Oh, you got it.
I made sure to record that.
Laying down the bass
Anyway,
line.
but this product has been formulated in such a way as to not get the fish burps.
We get
Not
non-belching
get-
fish.
Did you hear the way I said that? I said it kind of like, not get the fish burps.
Let's get to the fish burps.
You can get a
Let's
burpless
get rid of
cucumber.
the fish burps.
The burpless cucumber. This is the burpless fish.
You can get a burpless cucumber?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Sorry.
He's getting
I
excited.
digress.
I told you, Scott, no fun.
That smart
love
energy, he's
Smart Energy's
crushing
kicking
it.
in.
He's feeling
By the
it
way,
right now.
Smart Energy's flavor has improved.
Yeah?
And you and your buddy didn't, who will go unnamed.
No, he
Mr.
won't. He's going to be
Mr.
a regular.
Little.
He's
Yeah.
going to be a regular on the show.
Y'all argued with me that there had been no change. It's much better
No,
flavor.
okay, so no, he corrected me. I was wrong, and so apparently,
I got that.
yeah, apparently
I got that.
was wrong. Apparently,
Once.
once ever. So apparently, the manufacturer messed up the fruit punch I can't talk anymore.
Flavor.
They messed up the flavor on our last run, and they made it too strong. And so I was complaining because with the new batch, I texted Corey and I was like, bro, this is not the same flavor. It's not as strong, and I'm upset about it. And he was like, no, they got it right this time. He's like, just use less water, bro. And I was like, no, I don't want to use less water because then it doesn't last as long, you know? Anyway.
So let's talk about what fish oil. Why take fish oil? Why
Man.
take omega-3s? Because it does what, Clint?
Don't even get me started on what it does. What does it not do? Okay?
Well, fat burns
It's
main.
one of the most heavily researched nutrients on the planet. Omega-3s. They literally can't find anything bad about omega-3 supplementation. The craziest thing, and Corey talks about this a lot, some of the most prolific, some of the most educated nutrition scientists on the planet, when somebody comes to them trying to lose weight, people that need to lose like a lot of weight, like 100 pounds, 200 pounds, some people that are really overweight, a lot of times they will start them on a fish oil omega-3 supplementation amount of one. What's going on over
That one's
there?
a little springier than the rest.
They'll start them on one.
How fitting.
gram.
How fitting.
1 gram. Listen to this. This is crazy. You're done. You're done. Just
Sorry,
get out of here.
my mic was getting
It was
excited.
especially after your comments.
I'm not.
Well, was that on record, by the
Yes.
way?
I think
You
I
can
might have
edit
said
that
it
out.
on record.
Did you get that one on there? Anyway.
So if you're
Hang on a second. I wasn't finished. So 1 gram, bro, per percentage body fat. So these people could be, they could be anywhere from 30 to 40, 50% body fat. We're
Talk about
talking-
fish burps.
Talk about some fish burps. I mean, think about that. That one capsule is 1 gram. So you're talking about 30 fish oil
Capsules.
per day. Okay, and these are the most educated, most prolific nutrition.
I want to
scientists
see
out
someone eat 30
there.
capsules.
Big time. Yeah, that would be.
Now,
How long would that take? I mean, to get 30 of them down.
I could do probably 4 or 5 easy.
I can too. I can do like 5 or 6 at a time. No
You just
problem.
five sets of 5, or 6 sets of 5.
it's an AMRAP. It's an AMRAP.
AMRAP
As many
fish
rounds
oil.
as possible within 12 minutes.
What were you gonna say?
One of the things that I thought you were going to talk about with the fish oil too, that Corey Little talks about, who's our guy.
He's our guy.
He's our guy. Is nutrition. 2 things you need to start doing if you're not doing already.
Immediate and always. He calls it immediate and
Yeah,
always.
that's good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's fish oil supplementation and it's no liquid calories.
But wait a minute. This is fat.
I know.
Eating fat, and I'm fat.
Fat makes you fat, right?
Is that right?
I know.
Should we
Yeah,
eating
it
fat
does.
makes me
Actually,
fat?
You're right. Forget it. Just don't do the fish oil anymore because fat makes you fat.
What does don't drink? I feel like don't drink liquid calories is common, makes a lot of sense and is maybe common knowledge. And then I
It's
talk to
definitely
people
not common
and it's
knowledge.
not, and they don't. I don't think they understand.
Well, I think what it is, the biggest thing, again, you're talking to a guy who knows enough about nutrition to be dangerous, but I'm not on Corey Little
Right.
status. But here's
Little bro science.
Yeah, not fully because
This guy, bro science.
You're for real bro science.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I think what it boils down to is people people think that the little here, little there doesn't matter, but in fact, that's the stuff that makes people fat. Whereas, like in people's mind, they think, well, I don't eat fast food, and I don't sit down and eat an entire pizza, you know? And so they think in their mind, like, they just have a cookie here and a cookie there, or they just have cream and sugar in their coffee every day.
Or I cut
What's
my
the big
sweet tea
deal?
in half.
Or I cut my sweet tea in half, whatever. What's
half
the big
sweet,
deal?
half unsweet.
That's the stuff that makes people fat.
It's the little foxes
little
that
stuff.
destroy the vineyard.
There you
We're
go.
going to start saying that more often.
It's the little foxes that destroy the vineyard, man. It's those little small decisions. It's the little small decision of not working out. And then you make that decision, because it is a decision, right? You're deciding that I'm not working out today.
Yep.
For 365 days, you made that small decision, and now where are you at?
Yep.
You're not fit.
Well, and take you back to the coaching. You asked me about coaching. Coaching focuses on what the behaviors are that cause the results. We all love to talk about the results. I'm 195, I'm 215, I'm whatever. We're staring at a number that is a result, and we want to manage what has happened. You can't manage what has happened. You can stare at it. You can get ticked off about it. But what you have to go do is manage the behavior that caused it. And that behavior, in our encouragement, in our captain, what do we call them? Team captains or team creeds.
Creed teams.
I'm stretching for this word.
man.
Creed team leaders.
There you go. No, not that. Just
Creed captains.
Creed captains
Yeah.
and the groups
Cool.
is what are the behaviors? So what do you want to do this week? What do you want to accomplish? And so just as those little decisions can disrupt your goals, those little good decisions can achieve them. And they don't have to be huge, monumental, I'm going to get there and I'm going to do 2-a-days and I'm not going to have any sugar. And we pendulum swing to these extremes. Make a small adjustment and get that one going on. And then, make another small adjustment 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, but maybe a month later. But these are the things of these supplements that we're talking about is omega-3s, and then the protein after workouts. It's good stuff, and trying to do smart energy rather than some other garbage that you're buying at GNC that you have no idea what you're putting in your system. That's the other side of using something that's good for your body. That's what I would, I'm kind of a purist of stuff, and I watch out for all the chemicals that I can't pronounce or I don't know what they are.
Yeah, and for me, sometimes my wife gets on to me because she's like, you're like too big of a Corey Little fan. You're like, you just close your mind off to other people and other nutritionists and things that they're saying. And I think what it boils down to is the integrity factor for me, right? And so when I find somebody like a Corey Little, who I know without a doubt is a highly integrous person, right? In a fit.
Is that a word?
Did you like
I
that?
don't know.
if it is.
Integrous.
I don't
Actually,
think it is a word.
Well, I think it is actually, because I looked it up the other day. I Googled it, and it is a word, but it said that it's an adjective of describing somebody that has integrity, but it's just not commonly used. That's what it said. Anyway, so it is a word. It is a word. All right. Anyway, so
I thought it was Tigger's cousin, Winnie the Pooh, and Integrous.
Right. Yeah. When I find somebody like that, I latch onto them, right? And I'm just gonna why go search the world for another expert when I know that Corey Little has high integrity?
He's right here. Lives in Athens, Georgia.
You know what I'm saying? He's right here. Why would I do that?
Making great products
I don't know.
that can be delivered right to your
Keep
door.
things simple.
Amazon Prime.
Let's go.
I think too.
I think he's doing a better job than you are. Actually.
Well, I've been sitting back because I love this.
I think maybe we should fire you. And
Yeah,
hire
well,
you as the,
I sell
as the
stuff for
salesperson.
I
a
would
living.
love that.
I market and sell stuff for a living.
I would love
Comes
that. I'll
naturally.
just set everything up and
Just set everything up and you just bail.
chime in once in a while.
Right.
The people who
What were you
like
gonna say?
idiocy will enjoy this. Those who think this is stupid, Karen's going to kick me in the head in the 5:30
Yeah.
class.
She's gonna
She's
say,
going to go, "That was the stupidest podcast."
I can't believe
I want that
wasted-
hour back.
I can't believe I wasted.
You owe me an hour.
You stole an hour of my life.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say about smart. I'm a huge advocate of smart energy. I probably don't need it from a energy standpoint. I'm like Scott.
You just like it.
I just love it. But I started drinking smart energy because I would drink coffee when I was feeling a little down, a little slow, and man, coffee just winds me up. I can't drink coffee. I'm too sensitive to the caffeine. And I could go here and get coffee and have low caffeine, or go there, and the caffeine level is so high that I may get nauseous and feel like I'm going to throw up. Whereas with Smart Energy, I get the same amount of caffeine every time.
Yeah.
I love that. Controlled.
Scott, since you've done such a great job selling stuff, how about you sell some of our audience on Creed? If they want to, if they want to get fit, if they want to come in, I mean,
maybe.
What are your thoughts? Like,
about it.
Should they come in and join? I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I would say that Creed 101 is the best introduction into any gym that I have ever had.
Dang.
Because it covers the 10 core components of fitness.
Yes.
It talks about, most gyms, you come in and some dude in tight shorts walks you around the place and shows you the equipment.
That's
Benjamin.
me.
Yeah.
He's
And
the guy
says
in tight
he's the tight short guy.
Shorts.
And says this is this, this is that. And they kind of kick you in the seat of the pants and say, get with it, and that's it. And they start billing your credit card. And they really don't care whether you come or you don't come. They're billing your credit card. I would say that Creed 101 talks about the things you're going to run into and what is fitness at any level that you're at. So if all you can do right now is get up off the couch and go to the refrigerator, Creed can work for you. If all you can do is walk up the driveway to the mailbox and that wins you, Creed can work for you. They will scale this and customize it, but more than that, they will help you understand what you're doing and what you're after so that you're not thrown in there next to people that are already in intense fitness levels and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'll never qualify. I'll never get there. I mean, who wants to put themselves through that? So this is not one of those environments. So that would be my biggest thing is Creed 101, and you get to kind of begin trying it out, try out some of the workouts. But fitness is a lifestyle. It's not a 30-minute walk on a treadmill and that's going to do it. You got to change, and it's got to be a lifestyle change. And you don't do it all at once, because it is the little foxes that destroy the vineyard.
Totally. It is, man.
I think
Nail on the
Now,
head.
that was a mic drop.
that was
right?
good.
That was a
That
mic
was- I
drop.
think that's it.
That was,
I'm with you.
That was
I'm
a mic.
with you. Lastly, we do have a challenge to rise coming up. So we've got, I don't know when this will post. I don't know when we'll, I'm thinking we go ahead and put it on YouTube. We'll talk strategy afterwards anyway. But challenge to rise, January 15th. Ooh, I'm gonna get my dates wrong. I should have wrote
we
it
can
down.
put it. We can put it in the comments below.
And we'll put it in the comments. I think it's the third week in January. We got another challenge to rise coming up.
And what
And
is
Clint-
Challenge to Rise? Thank you, Scott.
Challenge to rise. I think Corey said it best. We just recently edited our packet, our guidebook, and it's gonna be super nice, man. It's gonna be so nice. I'm so proud of it. We got a pretty awesome designer on that one. But Corey writes in there, he says, the challenge is not some, stupid fad diet, silly little challenge thing there's millions of these things out there. He says, it's a 19-day competition with yourself. And I'm just like, boom.
That defines it.
That's the best way to describe it, because there are foundational truths about nutrition, just like there are with anything, with fitness, with morality, with whatever. There are truths, and if you follow them, you will improve your life, and so that's what the challenge is. It's an introduction to Corey's methodology, if you will, in nutrition, and it's very sound and it's doable, which a lot of these, things that come out, they work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not doable and they're not sustainable. And I think that's one thing that me and Corey get passionate about is we want to help people succeed long term. Like, we don't want to just see people get fit for a month or two and then get overwhelmed because it's not
Right.
sustainable and they can't keep doing it, and now they've fallen off, and when somebody falls off, you never know how long they're going to be off. Like, they could be off for a week or a month or a year or 10 years. They could be off the wagon, right? And so we're just passionate about helping people stay on the wagon and be successful, you know?
Because what happens when you're on a fad program, some kind of a fad, is you start at one place, you may have some results, but when you swing back, you end up getting worse than you were when you started. So you might as well not even go there.
Totally.
So what this system does is keeps you coming, keeps you doing something, and help and having some accountability with friends who care for you. They don't just care about billing your credit card. You know, they care about you being here, and they're gonna try to encourage you to be here if you want to be here.
All right, guys. What have I missed, Binger?
Do you want to mention the Yeti?
Oh,
There's a Yeti involved?
so you're pretty active on social media. Have you seen the post we did about the free membership?
I did, and you did a very nice job of getting these things on top
You
of
like
the,
that?
on top of the Yeti.
This guy right here.
There was a little photoshopping going
this
on.
guy
wasn't
right
there?
here.
Yeah,
He made it happen.
kind of cool.
He's pretty.
Thank you.
He's pretty dangerous with that kind of stuff.
Is this considered a Creed bundle? It's a
It's a
bundle.
bundle.
It's
It's
a
a
bundle
bundle.
pack.
Oh, yeah.
It's 1 year, unlimited workouts. 1 year membership, unlimited workouts. That's our normal pricing, $229 a month. Okay, so we're talking about a good bit of fitness here. Protein, a bottle of protein, a bottle of fish oil, a bottle of Smart Energy, and a Yeti cooler, and we're giving away 2 of these. 2 packages.
2 bundles.
2 bundles. We're giving 1 to a non-member, somebody who's currently not a member, and we're going to give 1 to someone who's currently a member. But you got to go to social media to participate in the contest. To enter the contest, you have to, tag some friends and share a post, or whichever platform, Facebook, Instagram, whichever platform you prefer. There are instructions there. Find that post, do it, participate, and the deadline to entry, we said it was the 31st.
We're going to have to move it up.
But we might move it up.
We got to move it up.
And
There's too many
so,
people competing.
we'll see.
It's getting too much hype.
We'll see what's
Better
going to
get
happen.
in. Better get in before they move it up.
Get in, and we will announce the winner, I think, on January 1st.
Yeah.
So get them in. Go. Have you participated?
I've read it.
Come on, bro. You got.
Depends on how you define participation.
Don't you want a free membership for 2018?
Yes,
At least a chance to win.
absolutely.
Come on.
Why would I not?
Let's go.
At least a Yeti cooler.
Yeah.
That's the part. I'm trying to take bribes. I won't be allowed to choose the person because
Right.
everybody knows that
All
I
right.
want that cooler.
Let's wrap this thing up. Scott, thanks for joining us today.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank
on
you.
our first ever sound check, but we will put this will be
This is
a
gonna
real-
be- this is
yeah,
gonna be-
it will be a
Check
real
one.
podcast.
We got quality content.
This is quality content. It's going to be posted. So thank you guys for listening. This is Clint.
And Benjamin.
And Scott, Mixmaster.
We'll talk to you next time.
All right.
Too much fun. Hey, what's that group called? Pentatonics?
Pentatonics.
Pentatonics?
Yep.
Pen or penna?
Pentatonics.
Pentatonics. Is there a T in there?
Pentatail on
just
the donkey.
N?
Pentatonics.
We could start our own group. Now, you have to be really serious on this podcast. There's no joking.
Okay.
There's no beatboxing. There's no smiling on this podcast.
Can you see yourself, Scott?
No.
Hello.
No, down here.
I see me.
Okay, so just try not to walk around.
I literally looked at the camera like this, and I was like, hey, Creed, I just want to talk to you a little bit about...
How depressed I am.
Yeah, seriously. That's what it was, though.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
It's like, this is, I mean, his eyes, like, I hate